Yo, what's up? What's shaking? Poke chops are baking. It is the Hoof Podcast Live, and I'm your host, Sterling, keeping it real. We got Anthony Romeo, NY up top, and my guy, always keeping it smooth like Barry White, Eric Brown. What's good, man? How are you guys doing?
What's happening?
I don't know. That video's got me hyped, man. I'm going to the game Sunday. I think Eric is too, right? So,
Yes.
Oh, man. I'm like, ooh, I'm ready. Is it game day yet? This was a game that in the preseason I had circled on my calendar. So I'm glad I get to go to this one. I'm like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, my brother-in-law bought club season
Oh.
tickets.
Oh, very
Never
nice.
been in that zone before. I'm used to being with the nosebleeders.
Yeah.
But
These are
it's exciting. They say you don't have to wait for the bathroom in there. I'll
That's
believe
right.
it when I see it.
And you get your own food sections. The club level is nice. I've only sat there once, but it is pretty nice. And it was a meaningless game at the end of the season, of course, but it didn't matter. It was still a really cool experience. But this game for me, my brother and I, my brother Adam, who is, the only other Bills fan in my family besides my uncle at this point, we bought tickets at the beginning of the year saying, okay, we're going to get really good tickets. We want to get good tickets. So we're like third row, 30-yard line. These are going to be probably the best seats I've had at the home stadium. So I'm excited. I'm pumped.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Wow. Even though hopefully the weather cooperates, but the weather is the weather.
It probably
We'll be ready for it. We'll be ready for it either way. It's going to be awesome.
I mean, the fact that y'all are going, I'm kind of jealous. I ain't gonna lie.
You were invited. You just couldn't get the flight.
Oh, stop it! At the last second, you're like, "Oh, you get a flight today," like a money bag or something. No, man, that's gonna be fun. I mean, you guys are gonna be at a very important game. We're gonna get into that a little bit later in the show, but we are here to talk about. We're gonna talk about what the Bills did to these Jets on Sunday, and some other stuff around the league. Before we do any of that stuff, want to make sure you guys know about Underdog Fantasy, that you can start drafting in minutes. All right, it's the best place to play fantasy sports, including best ball, daily drafts, and pick 'em. Start drafting in minutes for your shot at big cash prizes. I'm like tongue twisting today, but I'm trying to rap. But anyway, if you use the promo code COVER1, they will match up to $10. Make you holla. Okay, you're gonna get $10 free to parlay to what would you call it, to wage to get that bag or whatever you want to do, right?
Let's go.
To lose, if you want to lose, you can get a little crazy in there, right?
I won 3 drafts this week on the power of probably drafting Stefon Diggs and a few other players who really hit this week. I made out this week. This was my best week yet on Underdog, and I was doing a little dance for that too, because I like those. They do 3, 4, 5, and then there's a weekly $5 one that they do as well, where you draft a lineup and top so many win prizes. And I won the 3-person one, which I wagered 25, and that pays out pretty well. And so did the other one. So I was doing a dance for that. I like it.
Well,
take
Anthony,
some cash winnings.
We're all dancing. The fact that you are matching today, that's always a great sight. We're all happy. Your wife must have dressed you, so we're gonna leave it at that.
No.
Anyway, moving right along here. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Michael Mayon, he says, "Hey guys, go Bills! What's good? Reptile, what's good?" I always want to give a couple shout outs before we get going. So we got a jam-packed show tonight. We're going to go ahead and get in this thing. We're going to do the damn thing right, and we're going to go ahead and jump ahead to what's popping. This is a part of the show where we talk about the latest and the greatest around the NFL. Top headlines, things that could be crazy, things that are eye-popping, whatever it is. Just like Jack Harlow says, what's popping? We're going to get into this thing, man. So our first topic of the night, why don't we do this? I want to start with the power rankings. All right. As you can see here, these are my top 6 teams in the league, and this is up for debate, but this is just what I think is, who the best teams in the league are as of right now based on play, not potential, but based on play. And I have the Green Bay Packers at number 1, the Dallas Cowboys at number 2, Tampa at number 3, Tennessee ahead of Buffalo at number 4, Buffalo comes in at 5. Arizona climbs in here at number 6. So we saw the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lose to the Washington football team on Sunday, which was very eye-opening. We're going to talk about that, but Dallas came back. They put a wallop on the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, they only scored 3 points, and it was not pretty. Green Bay shut out. They shut out the Seattle Seahawks, and Pete Carroll was saying that, with the help of the refs and so forth, Russell Wilson coming back from injury. We know, he had a broken finger, so that's got to be tough. There was some rust there, no pun intended. But I'm sure Sierra can rub it out for him. So, what do you see? If you know. What do you guys see? Do you agree with this power rankings that I've come up with? Would you make any changes? Anthony. I'm gonna let you go first. Eric, then you take it away.
I can't argue with a lot of it, which is interesting. Usually I find something I could poke holes in here. Maybe not Arizona at 6 at this point. I'd probably put them a little lower, but I don't have a particular team in mind that I would put above them. And we all know the NFC is stronger this year than the AFC. So I think putting Green Bay, Dallas, and Tampa all above Tennessee and Buffalo is the right move at this point. And Tennessee, obviously, they beat us head-to-head. They're on a winning streak. It's not pretty. They aren't dominating as much as the Bills are in their wins, but they still deserve to be ahead of us as far as I'm concerned, if you're just talking about purely the 2021 season at this point. I think Buffalo's still the favorite to make the Super Bowl, but these rankings make sense to me.
Didn't you have Buffalo at like 12 last week?
I had them at 11, yes.
11. A win over the Jets boosts them 6 spots.
It's not just their win. It's not just their win.
Right.
It's the other situations in the league, the other teams that fell as well. The teams that boosted up and the teams that fell. Remember, we lost to the Jags. We should have been in 32nd place in the NFL after that game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's why these power rankings are always funny, because I'm not sure what the word power means.
Exactly. It all depends on what perspective you're taking. Right. Even the loss to the Jags, I said the Bills are still the Super Bowl favorite.
Certainly, Sterling, I'll agree. Green Bay won. I think that's clear. And I'm going to say not defense. Even because Aaron Rodgers is a part of that, but that team is a complete football team.
Their defense is playing out of
preaching that for years, I think, and they'll get to the championship game and lose, but they definitely deserve to be number 1. Dallas, I like Dallas. They're good. I mean, again, complete team. Dak's playing really well. They can run the ball. Their defense is playing lights out this year. Buffalo is the hard one. And really, I think Tampa Bay and Tennessee are similar. Tampa Bay's lost 2 in a row now, both on the road. And Tennessee, they keep surprising me. I thought when Derrick Henry went down, they would collapse, but they keep rallying. So it's a tough one. And Buffalo, like we said, they kind of lost their identity a little bit, and it seems like they're a win over the Jets with that secondary. I mean, I don't think it's a slam dunk to put them top 5 now. We got to see this week, because I think the upcoming game is a real challenge.
Wait,
I think you could talk about Kansas City sneaking in the top 5 or 6, right?
You just made that argument against Buffalo.
I would say, I could put Kansas City. I think in a head-to-head game, Kansas City beats Arizona.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
I think it'll be close
when they get their swagger back. I forget what movie that's from. But I feel like Kansas City could get their swagger back, and this whole thing flips upside down. They've won 3 in a row.
Who do they play this week, by the way? Do you know? Do you happen to know? Do you see these rankings? And do you know who Kansas City is playing this week? The Dallas Cowboys.
There you go.
That's number 2 on this list.
So if they beat Dallas.
So where are they going to be in your power rankings? When they lose to Dallas, they will be even lower on the power rankings.
Anthony, I'm in love with you right now, Anthony. I'm in love with you right now. I'm liking everything you're saying. But here's the deal, though. The fact that you guys don't have
Can't argue it,
higher, well, you guys have them outside the top 6, right? Is that correct? You guys, consensus, you guys have them outside the top 6.
Who?
Or you
Buffalo?
guys in agreement that they're in the top 5?
I agree where you are at 5. I think that's where we belong.
Okay. All right. Eric. So Eric comes in here like a wet blanket.
We flipped roles this week. Again, Anthony had him at 11 last week. Okay,
I did.
You
should have been 32.
Put the fire out.
So it's always good to like assess where you are as a person in life, right? In the chat, who of us is the most negative? That's all I want to know. Who do you guys think is the most negative?
We know who's getting that vote.
Leave your comment.
When the Bills lose to the Jaguars, Sterling just doesn't show up.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He didn't have anything to say, did he?
Listen,
we're all in deep, dark depression, so I don't blame you.
I was struggling, man. I mean, to tell you how much crack I've done and how much just on the side of the road, just drunk out of my mind, after that loss to the Jaguars, I had to take a whole week off of work. It was tough, man. It was tough. Everybody's up in here now. Brian Bowers is the homie. He says, "What's up, my boys?" Now that's how good teams are supposed to beat the shit out of bad teams. The debacle we had at Jacksonville better not happen again. My guy's preaching. Nicholas Lowe says, "What's up, Hoof crew? What's goody?" Oh man, we appreciate you guys here, but I want to know who of us is the most negative. So just drop that in the chat. But no, the power rankings are interesting because this is the point of the season where we're going to start to see teams separate. You're going to start seeing the actual good teams rise up to the top. Now, I think we were kind of spoiled last year, in a sense of not just from a betting perspective, but the teams that were supposed to win, it felt like last year they actually got the job done, right? Our Bills went 13-3. I mean, it was, you knew who kind of was going to win. It was a weird year altogether, but now you're kind of seeing the NFL get back to what it is, and that's a league of parity where these teams, you can get knocked off any week. And we're seeing that week in and week out. I mean, you want to, our next topic here is the 49ers and the Rams.
Yes.
This to me is fantastic. This is fantastic TV because
the script, buddy.
My guy Les
write
Snead,
a script.
My guy Les Snead, he basically says F them draft picks. He's like the honey badger. He don't give a flying flip about a damn draft pick. My guy says, I don't want that. And he just don't care. He's throwing out draft picks to get players like Oprah throws out houses to little black kids, okay, and cars when the people come watch her show, man. He don't even care. And so you got OBJ, and I'm not gonna turn this to an OBJ rant or anything like that, but Lisa Salters, can you not do the whole OBJ never wanted to leave Cleveland? Because we all know that's cap.
Did he say that? Did she say
dude,
that?
Apparently she reported that OBJ never wanted to leave Cleveland, and he just couldn't fathom the idea of being traded from Cleveland. That is BS, because all you have to do is look over at who's playing quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and we're not going to get into him, but he ain't it right now. And
it's almost like he sucks.
Yeah.
If only somebody had said that from day one.
Kind of like Matt Stafford in the last two games.
Yeah, Matt Stafford.
It's
rough right now. Okay, so and then you
thrown
go
2 touchdowns to the other team. At this point.
Yeah.
I mean, it ain't looking good. But with all that being said, when you have a guy like Robert Woods goes down on Friday, torn ACL, he's out for the season. That sucks. That changes the dynamic of that offense because he plays in the slot. He's one of the best blocking wide receivers in the game. He does a lot of your jet motion and sweep kind of game and stuff like that. He does he's a jack of all trades wide receiver. He's an excellent number 2 wide receiver. He was on pace to have over 1,000 yards this year. So you take him out of the offense, insert OBJ, who really doesn't play in the slot. You see on one of the interceptions that Jared Goff, Matt Stafford threw, it looked like a miscommunication. So I don't think we expected OBJ to come in and have an impact day one. It's one of those things that we need to see how well they mesh and how well they gel together. Now, Von Miller, on the other hand, I think it's more of the same. We know he's not the same Von Miller that was a Super Bowl MVP. That's not him anymore, but he still has about 110 sacks or so to his name, and he's an effective pass rusher. So, anytime you could put him on the field with Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald and, Jalen Ramsey, he's going to get his opportunities. Right. Like he had a couple tackles, 2 tackles and 1 assist, 1 tackle for loss. So as we've learned in the NFL this season, anybody can eat your lunch. And the 49ers, they just destroyed the Rams. And it was one of those games where Deebo Samuel and these guys are getting, they were just
torturing them.
The Rams got some flaws, just as every other NFL team does. No team in this league is untouchable, which is nice. So it's going to make for some interesting.
Yes. I think we need to put it in perspective in two ways. There's two things I wanted to say. One, obviously, OBJ just joined the team. They were literally huddling up just to tell him what the play was. Like, oh, this is the call, and you're supposed to go over there. And it's like that totally changes their offense. They normally don't even huddle. They just call the line of scrimmage, go, 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 go. That's how their offense works. So I'm not putting it on OBJ or the offense. And then you've got obviously Von Miller coming in, maybe more experience, could transition well. I love these guys here coming in, but could transition well. The other point of perspective, though, yes, right, yeah. Not just the other perspective to bring to this game in particular is that the 49ers own the Rams, period. It's like if the Dolphins were 10-0 and they had to play Buffalo, they were like, damn it, Josh Allen, we're supposed to be good and we got to play you. The 49ers play the Rams tough every single time. They own them. I think they're like, what did they say on that broadcast now? 4-0 in the last 4 games against them, or 5-0? I don't know if that included this game or not, but still pretty dominant against the Rams, who we know are a really good team. But the 49ers style of play matches up well with what the Rams do and can counter them pretty well. And let's not forget, the 49ers still have good defense and good running backs and things like that. They can move the ball themselves, and they showed up. They were my preseason Super Bowl pick, so it's nice to see them have a little bit of life. Maybe they'll end up making the playoffs at least. And they could be a team that is a threat. They put themselves on the map. We took down who was your number one team, and now, we're putting our stamp saying we are here to fight for it in that really tough division where all the teams could make the playoffs. You can make an argument for Seattle holding up the rear there currently with their stinker this week. But that's a tough division, and 49ers are here to play, man. They're still a good team, but it's always nice to see the top dog, in this case the Rams, go down to a team that all the storyline was on the Rams clearly in this game.
And we gotta mention Matt Stafford. Like, are we sure he's the quarterback that everybody thought he was going to be? I mean, just because you change teams, all of a sudden you're in the Hall of Fame conversation.
Who said that?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean,
just in general.
Like ESPN and national media is all over Matt Stafford this year. Like, he's the greatest thing ever.
MVP,
yeah. It's going to be with Sean McVay. It's going to be glorious. But I mean, he's made some really bad boneheaded decisions the last 2 weeks. He got 4 interceptions in the last 2 weeks.
2 for touchdowns.
Kills momentum right out, and they're both in the first quarter, early in the game. And it's just too much to overcome for a team. I feel like they're still trying to find an identity. You bring in these superstar players, big personalities. I mean, Von Miller was the heart and soul of Denver for years, right? I mean, that's a big personality coming in there, positive or negative, right? And then OBJ, we know the story with him. That's a lot to manage, I feel like. And again, I think they're still trying to find their identity. But for me, Matt Stafford is still kind of on the edge. What do you think?
Yeah, I like Matt Stafford as a quarterback. I mean, let's keep it in perspective. I mean, you're going to have ebbs and flows throughout the season. You're not going to be playing at your best all the time. It just doesn't happen that way. And this is still new to him. Whether we like it or not, or whether we admit to the praise that he's gotten from the media outlets and so forth, he's played pretty well. And I expect him to bounce back, and I expect McVay to get this offense back on track. They're just you're gonna take some L's. You're gonna take some losses to teams that you never thought Jacksonville, Pittsburgh for us. I mean, we're seeing it. It's not just the Bills, which is a nice thing that it's happening to other teams as well. And we're gonna lightly touch on this, but Chase Young out for the season. The Bucks got their ass whooped on Sunday to the Washington football team, who they have cost me so much money this year. Damn it.
You bet against them?
Dude, I bet
I didn't touch
them,
this
and then
game.
Oh man, they hurt my soul. I picked Tampa with the spread, and they just ripped my heart out. I had a 16 parlay. I had 5 legs, buddy, and the Bucks just killed me.
You gotta
They
stop
killed
doing
me.
that, man.
God dang it! I gotta stop doing it.
Do it individually,
buddy. I know. I need to get
lots
right,
of upsets this week.
Yeah, lots of upsets. And Chase Young.
Anybody who had a good week in picks, kudos to you.
Yeah, did not on that train.
I mean, Cleveland for me was the biggest disappointment of the week. I thought really they would go up to Foxborough, rookie quarterback. We know the story, but Cleveland's they're under a lot of criticism, right? The division's close. They were a Super Bowl favorite early in the season for the second year in a row, it seems like, but it's like this was the year, right? I thought for sure they would take that.
I picked them to win the division.
Get hyped, go up to New England and beat them, but they just did not show up.
They put up the biggest stinker, and now everybody's calling Mac Jones the first overall. Should have been the first overall pick.
You can talk about New England being top 10 in the power rankings now.
Yeah.
Oh,
won
man.
4 in a row, undefeated on the road. You gotta acknowledge it.
Get out of here.
You though?
Who did they play?
Still
Buffalo
2 games behind in the division.
No, they're playing good football,
right.
But it's the Patriots, and I know a special someone, okay, who is a Patriots fan. I will not mention thy name publicly because right now I hate you. But she's like, how about when we lost the Jaguars? How about them Bills? I always hear from people, how about them Bills? And, and she's like, Mac Jones she's like, we got something special in Mac Jones. I'm like,
oh, really?
Mac Jones is as good as he's gonna get. The Mac Jones you see today is gonna be the Mac Jones you see 10 years from now. I believe he's a good quarterback. He is on the Kirk Cousins trajectory train. That's what he is. That's what he is. And it's new and fresh for New England because he looks like Tom Brady. But give it some time. Let's when the league figures out Mac Jones. Let's see how he adapts.
You know who he reminds me of, comparison wise to recent. Like, oh my God, this guy's actually really good. Oh my gosh, his name just left me. From Jacksonville, the guy who was in Jackson, Gardner Minshew. Jesus, Gardner Minshew is because when he first came and started playing, everybody's like, oh, Gardner Minshew, he's legit. And then reality struck, and it's like, no, he's Gardner Minshew. He's not that great. So I think that's going to be what's in store for somebody like Mac Jones. I mean, he is what he is. He has a ceiling. He's good right now, but once people figure out how to play against him, and he's not playing these teams that put up total stinkers, and he has to face a cornerback like Trey White and our secondary, it's not going to go well for him. He'll come back down.
I think he just fits what New England does.
Exactly.
Yeah,
he's
he does.
A quarterback
Perfect
for that.
Clearly, watching him, he's a high IQ guy, right? He makes decisions fast. He knows where to go with the ball extremely fast.
Yeah,
and that's the strength of his game, right? Math major. Does that play a role? I don't know, probably, but he's exactly what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I called it last December. I called it. You look at the receipts on Twitter. That Mac Jones is going to be a New England Patriot. I mean, he's a smart, cerebral quarterback. He's beyond his years in terms of how he processes the game. I just think he's limited physically. I want to see how he, everything right now works for him. It's perfect. I think he could use a few more weapons on the offensive side of the ball. He has the best defensive coordinator alive, coach, or whatever you want to call it. And the offensive line, I mean, he's in the right position. So we'll see. We're going to see. I still hope the Bills beat the brakes off of them.
Right.
But I hate the Patriots. I hate the Patriots.
The last 3 weeks, they've beat some good teams. I mean, the Chargers, Panthers.
I'm not giving them no
want to
love.
say Cleveland.
In recent memory, this was the Dolphins with Tua last year going into the Bills bye, and everybody was like, oh, Tua and the Dolphins are going to win the division now. And it's like, no,
we'll see.
Guys.
We'll see.
I would agree with you if the
Wake
head coach of the Patriots didn't have 7 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
And own this division for so long, and then
and Tom Brady.
Stop
it, Eric.
Little different.
Listen, if y'all don't know, Eric,
talking about Mac Jones.
He comes from the he's hurt. You know how we say, baby, who hurt you?
Trauma.
He's got serious trauma from the New England Patriots. So anytime the Patriots are brought up,
tissue.
Eric is going to go into the resume of how many Super Bowls they won, what Bill Belichick ate for breakfast.
Well, you compare him to the Dolphins, though.
How many versions of the hoodie that he wore? Eric is going to tell you all that
scenario.
shit. Because it don't effing matter. The Bills are going to whoop their ass.
Because I've spent tens of thousands of dollars going to Bills games to watch the reenactment of the 2011 win where they tore down the goalpost and the crowd. I wanted to be there for that. and they
Well,
lost
buddy,
every time.
we all knew they were going to
lost every
lose.
time.
That's called a bad investment.
Yes, I'm aware.
But I feel your pain, but we got to do
trauma.
better. We got to do better. We got to do better. I ain't giving the Patriots no damn love. All right, I ain't doing it. That beat me first, and then we'll give you some love. So there's that. All right. So let's keep it moving. Let's keep it a buck. Why don't we go ahead and go to the inside slant? This is where we're going to talk about the Bills part of the show. We're going to recap the game here. And also, we're going to go do a little dive into what to expect on Sunday. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Inside Slant. All right, fellas, let's go ahead and jump into this thing real quick. Takeaways from the Bills win over the Jets. The Bills just came in and they established, who the king of the AFC East is. Not the New England Patriots. It's the Buffalo Bills. They came out and they shit the bed last week to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they look like a completely different team this week on Sunday. That's what you want to see. Those are the things you want to see from an offensive standpoint. Brian Daboll, I think he should have got more criticism, for the offensive struggles that we've been seeing. But you saw what they look like when they kind of simplify everything and go back to what works. Getting Stefon Diggs the ball, had a monster game. Getting Matt Breida involved. Getting Gabriel Davis involved. I like the fact that they were running Josh from under center, using play action to disguise, the run and then sprinkling in. And then, Spencer Brown was amazing. And the offensive line played well. And this is a Jets team that for the past 2 weeks have been playing pretty well offensively. And the team that we're playing on Sunday, the Jets put up points and yards against them. So, I know it's a week-to-week league, but those are some things you got to be excited about. Now, what I'm not too happy about is that I felt like we could have started off a lot faster. I know we jumped on them and got 10 up, right? So I felt like there was at least a touchdown or two that we could have had before the first half ended. And I know it's not going to be perfect, but those corners are bad. And I felt like, we could have scored a little bit more. Now, the adjustments that they made in the second half coming into the third quarter, which has been great. We haven't been seeing that this year. That's been great. So, fellas, what are your takeaways from this game? I have a few listed here. What do you guys have?
Go ahead, Anthony. I'll pick up the slack.
I think I'm going to start with a slow clap. Meaning, great, you beat the lowly Jets. You did what you had to do. You showed up and played football. Congratulations. I'm glad you're still a football team. Because after that game against the Jags and everything I had to say last week, I certainly had my doubts. You didn't come out versus Miami. You played like shit versus the Jags, and it punched you in the face. And then I heard all week, oh, no music at practice this week. Oh, they're meaningful now. The players are screaming at each other. Great. Why didn't you do that last week? And now going forward, I hope you learned your lesson. This is how you prep for a football game. You take it seriously. You put it on the calendar. You play as hard as you can during practice. You put it all on the field when it comes game time. You hold each other accountable. You do what you got to do to win, right? So I said last week on the podcast, I don't care if we win 42-0. I'm not going to be impressed with anything in this game, and I'm holding to that. We played well. Great. You played the friggin' Jets. You had to play well, or you would have been in a lot of trouble. So I'm glad, yes, we had all the takeaways against Mike White, who did not play well. That was definitely a positive for our defense. That was impressive for sure, but still, it's against the Jets. It's expected. I did not like, everybody wanted to praise Brian Daboll for calling a better game. And overall, I would agree this was better than the last two games. But that's like, you could pick it blindly and probably do better than the last two games. But the second down play in the red zone in the beginning of the game, like Sterling was saying, you still can't score in the red zone, even against the lowly Jets with the cornerbacks they got. And what are you trying to do? Run the ball on second down in the red zone? Freaking stop it. How many times have we said on this show? Every week I'm saying this. Stop it. You are in the red zone. You're the Buffalo Bills facing the worst cornerbacks in the league right now, and you're running the ball on 2nd and 7. You might as well punt it. What are you doing? Like, stop it. Seriously. Every week they do it, and every week I say the same thing. Why are you calling these plays in the red zone? It is a waste. Nothing happens. And it's not even like an interesting run play. It's hand the ball to Zach Moss so he can run up the gut and fall forward for half a yard. No, that's not helping you in the red zone. Your goal is to score a touchdown, especially early in the game when you're trying to make a statement and you settle for a field goal. That's how Tennessee got one up on us.
Okay, so
but everything majority was good, was what we had to do. Defense played well. Offense was able. Stefon Diggs was the big takeaway here. Yeah. Glad he had a huge game. He should have against those corners, as we said.
Eric, what say you, sir?
Getting on the Bills for missing one red zone opportunity.
But
there
the
were 6 of 7 in the red zone.
Yes, different situations. Different situations.
Go ahead, Eric.
Still 6 for 7 in the red zone. I think
no, not good enough. 7 for 7. You're playing the goddamn Jets.
Where you been the other weeks? This is the best one they've had this season.
Yeah, exactly. But it was on the goal line or whatever, passing to the 2-yard line.
I just think
score from there.
I got 2 takeaways from this game. Number 1, Brian Daboll refuses to change the identity of this team. It's a downfield passing team, and with a quarterback like Josh Allen, really made some amazing throws. They should be against a team like this with weak cornerbacks. The game plan should be to attack these young, inexperienced corners with Stefon Diggs, right? Josh Allen, 6 of 8, 223 yards, a touchdown, and an interception over 20 yards when passing over 20 yards. So, that's a day.
Hold on, Eric. I got one for you that you can expound on this. This is from Sheil Kapadia. He says, Josh Allen averaged 13.1 yards per attempt in the Bills win over the Jets. That's the highest yard per average for any quarterback in a single game over the past 2 seasons. Bills also have the highest league with plus 145 point differential, 47 points higher than any other team through 10 weeks. So to your point, Eric, go ahead.
Yes. What I thought was funny, though, is they still only ran the ball 11. There's only 11 rushing attempts with Moss and Singletary. In the play action, right? The heavy play action, and don't quote me on this, but I think it was 57% of the plays were play action, and they only attempted to run the ball 11 times. It's just hilarious because the defense should know this is not going to they're not going to run the ball, right?
They have to be that way. I mean, we like, and it's so funny. Look, I know we need offensive line help, but our running backs are trash. I'm sorry, they're just trash. They are average to below at.
Matt Breida had a day. Come on,
Matt Breida
be something we talked about.
Matt Breida gives you the speed element. Use him now,
and that's definitely a different dynamic.
This is what we wanted to see from Matt Breida all along when we talked about him in the preseason. When I said we should have signed him last year, this is exactly what I was envisioning for him in this offense. Perfect.
Right. You saw McKenzie. You saw the Jet sweeps. I mean, that's a big part of the offense. I mean, the Jets defense definitely looked confused. And, kudos to Brian Daboll. Getting back to the identity. I don't think you can do that every week, have a game plan where it's to throw the ball for 200-plus yards, 20-plus yard attempts. But it definitely works on this team. Second takeaway is they got to the quarterback. So huge. The Jets' offensive line was very confused. I mean, Ed Oliver more than once went unblocked.
Yes.
I mean, you have to block Ed Oliver. And then you just saw why.
Is that a tweet from him directly?
Tweet from Ed Oliver directly says, I run New York.
I didn't see that one.
4 pressures for Ed Oliver, 3 quarterback hits without a sack.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of 6 linemen who had multiple pressures. I mean, everyone just had a day there, right? Yeah. And then Mike White struggling. This is from PFF. While under pressure, he is 5 of 16 for 73 yards, 2 interceptions. So he's highly confused. Didn't have a lot of time to throw the ball. Didn't look comfortable all day. So that's on the defensive line, in my opinion, getting pressure on the quarterback.
So if you ask Mike White, he will say, if you ask me, I should have been a first overall pick.
Poor guy.
Well, I mean, in the 7th round is the first overall pick in the 7th round. Sure, that's what you look like on Sunday. So next time, before you declare, you make these bold statements. I know it's just one game that you had a bad game, but you're just giving people bulletin board material to come in and wax that ass. And you ain't got the personnel with the Jets right now to be talking shit like that. But
did you see the tweet I retweeted from somebody that was like, yes, he was the first overall pick by Jordan Poyer, and then he was picked by Trey White and picked by because he threw 4 interceptions in this game. The whole secondary got him.
Mike White, they were tossing that boy around like a hood chick. I mean, it's like, look, everybody gets a turn, baby. It was rough. It was rough. If you know, you know. But back to quarterback play, I want to bring this up. Next Gen Stats says Josh Allen used play action on 57% of his dropbacks. Eric, like you alluded to, 45-17 victory over the Jets, the highest rate of any quarterback in a game this season. Allen threw for 305 of his 366 yards using play action, the second most in the game by a quarterback in 2016. Ladies and gentlemen, the effing recipe is use play action. Josh Allen was dynamite in the play action game last year. Brian, I've been saying this all along, and you guys can attest to this. And those of you in the chat who listen to me know, Brian Dable, one of his greatest attributes is he's a thinking man's coordinator. He wants to come up with things. But sometimes when you overthink shit, you get into ruts like this because he's trying to build an identity and trying to get the Bills as an offense to the next level. But from a personnel standpoint, great. We're seeing some improvements from like Dawson Knox and so forth. But we don't have the personnel from the running back and the offensive line to kind of maybe do some of the things that he wants to do right now. So just go with what works. Let's regroup in the offseason. Hopefully they make the right moves and right decisions and go from there. But I'm at the place where I don't care if we don't run the ball. I mean, as what we did on Sunday, I'm cool with that. Like 10 carries between Moss and Singletary, sprinkle Matt Breida in there for a couple carries. And
we saw a lot of those quick passes. Yeah. Quick passes, sideline passes to whoever was out there, McKenzie, or one of them went to at least Cole Beasley. They're just short yardage ones. You quick pass it, but that's basically the run game. That's what you want to do for the Bills.
Right. And let me answer this question real quick. Austin Hemby, thank you for contributing to the show, man. We really appreciate the super chats. He says, should we go 3 linebackers against them now that we have Trey back with the Colts D? So let me, I watched some of the games, the Colts games, and let me answer that. So and we're going to talk about this in the second half of the show, but since you super chat, I'm going to answer it now. I think the Bills going, in a base 4-3 and some packages would be great. Just have Klein and Milano and Edmonds out there because I think they need to sell out against the run. If you can eliminate Jonathan Taylor from getting off, you're going to have a lot more success. And from watching the film, it appears that this team is there. You can apply pressure up the middle. Now, I'm a big fan of the Colts offensive line with, Quentin Nelson, the best left guard in the league. Ryan Kelly, he's a good center. Mark Lewinsky, but these guys, they were getting up the pressure up the middle. They were getting manhandled and use stunts and have delayed linebacker blitzes coming in there. Those are the things that you want to see them do. And talking about Carson Wentz, he's a guy that it's like he's pressing too much. Like he wants to make a play. He wants to be that guy, and it's just not working. He's putting the ball in harm's way, whether it's ball security or just interceptions. Week after week, we're seeing this is not just a last game thing. We saw it against the Jets. We keep seeing this recurring. He's just trying to throw the ball out, but teams are getting pressure up the middle. Carson Wentz, it's like he freezes when the pressure comes up the middle. It's like he wants nothing to do with it. So to answer your question, yes, I think there should be some packages in there where you're using 3 linebackers to help and run support. But this is one of the reasons why McDermott and Frazier talk so highly of Taron Johnson, because what he's able to do in those run fits. He's really good in supporting the run. But it comes down to the defensive line. The defensive line for the Bills, they have to show up in a mighty way this weekend, because if they don't, and you let Carson Wentz hang out back there, and you let Jonathan Taylor, who's pushing his way up to one of the top running backs in the league week after week. Jonathan Taylor right now, he has 7 straight games with 100 yards. With a rushing touchdown. He has 7 straight games with rushing touchdowns, so that shows you his efficiency. He's a guy that shows great balance, great vision. He has really good speed. When he gets to the mud and the second level, he's gone. So
they got to prepare for the run.
They got to prepare for the run. So to answer your question, I hope I answered that for you. And again,
I disagree just a little bit in the fact that, well, you kind of mentioned it at the end. I don't think we go 3 linebacker sets as much. Maybe every once in a while when you're really selling out for the one run, but I honestly think they go with their best personnel on the field. They're going to use Taron Johnson. They're going to use Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer as run help coming up to the line, doing what they got to do, rather than putting in 3 linebackers. They've shown that that's what they would prefer in those situations. They use their personnel on the field to do those situations.
But Anthony, along those lines. Go ahead. Go ahead, Eric.
Taron Johnson against Derrick Henry and the Titans was on the field 94% of the snaps.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. And it didn't. Now, Derrick Henry is another level of running back, right? But listen, the Bills have to be able to show that they can stop the run effectively. Now, against marquee backs. And I think, with the Colts being so physical on the offensive defensive line, the Bills have not answered the test when it comes to physicality, right? So I think to offset, if you can't just bank on coming out there nickel and thinking, oh, yeah, we're just going to stop the run. You're going to have to, and AJ Klein's been playing really well in spot duty. I think you have to, use Saran Neal, give him specific assignments. I don't want him covering nobody, but if you want to use him as a free blitzer, Taron Johnson off the edge, I mean, they have to get creative to send more numbers in order to stop the run. So you're going to need Ed Oliver to come in and have a big game. You're going to need Star Latula to come back from COVID and really,
please.
to help stuff the run. Miss me on Vernon Butler, kick his ass out of town.
Yeah.
I don't want to see Vernon Butler, but the Bills have to get more stout up front through the middle. Now, F.A. Obata was fantastic on Sunday.
First came back from his injury and everything.
3 technique. He played some snaps at 1. He was phenomenal. So I would love to see F.A. Obata continue to play the way he played. It sucks that we don't have Justin Zimmer because he gives you a little bit more consistency in terms of pressure. But F.A. Obata was great. Boogie sometimes comes in and does a good job. So I want to see less Vernon Butler. I need to see more pressure up the middle. But that's when we talk about the Colts. But
we'll get into the Colts more. But just I want to mention one more thing.
Go ahead.
The Bills defense did good in the playoff game versus Jonathan Taylor. Only held him to 78 yards. It really was Phillip Rivers who was tearing them
apart.
Yellow crosses. But look, this defense has continuity, right? How many new players are on this defense? Not a ton, not a lot, right? So I think they'll have a similar game plan. It'll be interesting to go back and see what that was, and challenge Carson Wentz, right? That's kind of the thing. But we'll talk about that more later.
So Austin has another question. He says, you guys are accurate. Taron is a big guy, but Jonathan Taylor. And they have to go big personnel. You got to go physical early. Bills are all the momentum, and it hurts. Yeah,
that's a good point.
That's what I'm saying. You have to show that it's not about. I think it's more about who you're going to see in the playoffs. You're going to see the Ravens, who are very physical up front on the offensive line. You're probably going to see the Titans without Derrick Henry, and their running game looks just not as good, but they're getting it done. You need to show that you could be physical with the best in the league. And if you cannot do that, we can forget about talking about Super Bowl, because you won't even beat Tampa Bay because they're physical as hell, right? We have not yet answered the test when a physical line, offensive defensive line, comes to town. We have lost 3 games, in my opinion, because we have failed the test for the offensive line. The game's won in the trenches. They teach you that in Little League and Pee Wee football. And it's true in the NFL. The game's won in the trenches. Why do you think Brandon Beane invested so many resources in the offensive defensive lines this year? Because it's that important. So the Bills got to answer the test. And we appreciate it. He says, good content. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for the super chats. We love it. Thank you, Austin.
Absolutely.
It.
So back to the Colts game. Josh Allen, the fact that he was, and I just want to bring this up, the fact that he was able to drive the ball down the field, that's what Josh Allen does.
Game.
I was going to say.
Getting Stefon Diggs involved in the passing game. We haven't seen Josh Allen attack Diggs as much than he did on Sunday. And I think that's what was successful last year, getting Gabriel Davison as a 3rd, 4th option. Dawson Knox being on the field definitely helps, but there is one thing that I definitely wanted to show you guys that really effing matters when it comes to the success of this offense. And Joe Marino in this tweet, he said, the 2021 Buffalo Bills, with and without Spencer Brown in the starting lineup at right tackle. Folks, look at this. 4 games with Spencer Brown. The Bills averaged 38.5 points a game. They 448 yards. Rush yards per game is 135. 5 games without Spencer Brown. 25 points per game, 364 yards, and 111 rush yards per game. And that's with Josh Allen's rushing yards included. Well, Josh Allen didn't have to run the ball. right? But Spencer Brown in this lineup, getting him back in the lineup, you solve two spots. You can kick, Darrell Williams back to guard, Spencer Brown at right tackle, and he's so physically dominant. He's so more than Deion Dawkins. Okay, and I know we love Deion.
Mm-hmm.
I need Deion to step it up this year. He got to step it up some more, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we got a hell of an issue at left guard. Mitch Morse, I think it allows him to. Mitch Morse is quietly having a hell of a season, and having Spencer Brown on that right side, you can see how it opens up the run game, how it opens up the pass game when he's so physically imposing. Like he could get to the second level, and once he gets his hands on you, it's over. It is over.
Yeah, he's an athlete.
Left and right. He's such a great athlete, man.
Huge athlete. But I wonder how much of that stat is Darrell Williams playing guard.
It helps.
Well,
it helps.
That's a mixed stat there. I think it's both of them being in those positions on the right side.
Yeah, they both played better, right? I mean, we spoke a lot about the offensive line last week because it was literally the worst offensive line.
Darrell Williams gives us very few highlights, but we get highlights every week from Spencer Brown. So,
but just that one guy back in shifts everything, like you said, and changes it for the guards.
When you can simplify Darrell Williams' assignments, what he's supposed to be doing, pre-snap, post-snap, right? Knowing where his assignment is, I think it frees him up to play better. Having a guy that you could trust on your right side, and Spencer Brown, who's just so physically dominating, it helps. And the attitude and the juice that he brings to the offensive line, it really does help.
Fire comment right here by my buddy Mike Lucas here. Spencer Brown is what people thought Feliciano was. Has the bite with the bark. Yes, he can play and he brings the attitude. That's
I've been saying that, I've been saying that since they put him in the lineup.
Exactly.
That
awesome.
I'm not a fan of Feliciano, but Spencer Brown actually he backs up what he talks shit out there and he backs it up. So the impact of Spencer Brown is huge. It's huge. I think the Bills have found their solution at right tackle for years to come, and I'm excited about what we've seen from Spencer Brown thus far. So that pretty much wraps up. Oh, and the secondary. I mean, we could touch on the secondary real quick. AJ Klein, for one, came in and he played well. But the secondary, I mean, each one of these guys got a turnover. It was fantastic. And for all the haters out there that says Trey White is not – he's okay. Like, get the hell out of here. Okay.
I don't know what football they're watching.
I don't know either, but it's crazy. Trey White's that dude. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, man. Jordan Poyer is he not having an all-pro season?
Oh yeah. I mean, he better be. Like, they better give it to him. I mean, come on. What are you watching if he's not the best safety, one, if not the one of the top? I mean, in the NFL. Every week. Turnovers, absolutely. Dominant plays at the position. I mean, I don't know who you could put over him. In fact, I saw a tweet because Green Bay played well this weekend. Somebody said, "Oh, their safeties are the best duo in the NFL," and a few Bills fans were like, "Excuse me, what games have you been watching?" Because Poyer and Hyde would have something to say about that.
Yeah, and it's been fantastic. So we got a super chat from Austin. He said, "Sorry, not trying the flow." That hitch and go if you watch it again for Diggs' route was a hitch and Josh was going to throw it regardless. He briefly sees Diggs wave and then he go and throws the go was nuts. Yeah. And he did it on consecutive plays.
Yeah.
Like that is what's great is that, man, it's like what was wrong in the first half where Josh Allen just wasn't, it's like he wasn't hitting Diggs. We saw it in the second half of the game against Jacksonville in the fourth quarter when it was dire straits. You start looking for Diggs. This needs to happen every single week. Diggs, you need to just keep giving him the ball. Right. Make teams game plan for Diggs to stop him. He's the hot hand every week. Just keep throwing his damn way. Unless he's playing a top corner. Unless he's got
there's a very favorable matchup with the Jets.
That needs to be the focus in the pass game. Stefon Diggs, because when you do that, it lets other guys shine like Gabriel Davis. It gives McKenzie an opportunity. It's the reason Matt Breida caught a touchdown pass because if you watch all 22, you'll see when the safety in the corner, they paid so much attention to Diggs and then Breida being he made a smart play. He starts going up the seam and Josh Allen found him on a rope. That's the kind of stuff where doesn't show up in the stat sheet, but the impact
Magic.
of Stefon Diggs and getting him involved opens up the pass game for everybody. Having Spencer Brown at right tackle opens things up for everybody, being that dominant. Okay, so those are some things that you want to see. Oh, this is a great comment here from Spin 0481. Wallace is playing like a high-end caliber cornerback too so far this year. Levi Wallace is having a good year. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and I love the fact that the way he breaks at the end of routes, like he's such a. I love the way that he's always around the football. Levi Wallace is doing a very, very good job, and I feel like the Bills should extend him.
Yeah, he did
I'm
good
all
last
about
year.
drafting some. I'm drafting another cornerback, but Levi Wallace, let them battle
Keep
it
him
out.
there. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He was an above average cornerback statistically last year.
Yeah. He's playing pretty good. He's playing pretty well. So let's go ahead with it looks like. So my next question, and then we'll go into the Colts preview. Matt Breida's impact, and will he continue to be a part of the offense? I think he should be. I hope to God that they don't overthink this, and that they start using Breida, McKenzie the way they did every single week. Do it until you can't anymore.
Exactly. This. You found something that works. Guess what? You gave it to Devin Singletary. That wasn't working. You gave it to Zach Moss. That wasn't really working. Matt Breida comes in, total change of pace. You're still not running the ball effectively, but it's all the other things that Breida can do. My only concern becomes what Zach Moss and Devin Singletary do very well is block for Josh Allen, right? They are excellent against the pass in the pass game. So that is a huge part of what the running back has to do. And Breida missed a couple where there was one in particular where Josh Allen didn't see the guy coming. He should have. He didn't look to. It was on his right side. He didn't look there, and he was looking down the field, and he just got leveled by. I think it was a cornerback who came at him or the safety.
That wasn't a running back's fault though. That's Josh Allen. That was a free blitzer.
Correct.
Josh Allen he should have saw that.
But Breida didn't touch him at all. Breida just
he did
that's
not.
probably the route.
You're
right,
call.
But still, exactly.
Right. Plus, if Breida has another fumble like that, put his ass on the bench.
Oh,
okay. Devin Singletary seems to cough the ball up every week.
Yes, right. And he does. He's been very sloppy. He's been lucky to not give it up as much, but
we've seen a lot of carries from Singletary. We know he's not a big fumble guy, right? Breida, I don't know because he only gets like 3 carries, right? He fumbles on 33%.
But he scored twice. Once in the pass game, once in the run. You got to have him back.
Can he do it?
You know what though? And if you're a running back, it's your job to protect the football. But I'll take the speed element. I'll take that any day over what we've gotten out of the other running backs.
Makes our offense much better.
That's and y'all know how I felt about getting a guy in here with some juice, right? And they chose not to do that. That's up to them. And they trotted in Matt Breida. But listen, you gotta do better at running back in the future. You got to. And Moss and Singletary, I'm good. Keep one. And let's get somebody else in here. I don't care which one it is. I don't have any ties to either one. And I don't care what people say. Right. You guys can be a hater, but I didn't say draft him in the first round.
Where are you going to get him? Yeah, you got to get him in the third round again.
Jonathan Taylor's a second round pick.
Get a guy in the second round with some damn speed. With some speed. Like, can we do that? That's not hard to do. I can text Brandon Bean and be like, hey, bro.
Draft this guy.
I mean, seriously.
I'm here in Syracuse. Syracuse has one of the best running backs in college football right now. Give this kid a call, right? Come on.
I mean,
something's got to give.
Karan Higdon.
He's probably going to go in
Kenneth
the first round.
Walker, Zach Charbonnet. I mean, there are guys out there with speed. Like, can we get one? That's all I'm saying. Like, and with vision. Speed with vision, contact balance. I'm straight. That's all I'm saying.
You can't invest big resources in a running back. Not in this.
I'm not.
There's too much other things to do.
All right, we got to move on from this topic.
We're going to get to that in the offseason. We're going to get to that in the offseason, because I'm right on this one. Okay.
O-line, and more O-line.
I agree. Bills versus the Colts. We got the Indianapolis Colts coming into Western New York. So what we want to do here, we want to kind of segue into our Friday podcast, is where we kind of go over some of the things that, for you guys to take a look at, some of the things we might expect the Indianapolis Colts to bring to Orchard Park on Sunday. So we want to say peace out to all of you who listen to the show. Make sure you guys have a good rest of the week, and we out of here. And now we're segued into the Friday show. So thank you guys for being a part of this. Gentlemen, we have the Colts coming to town. The Colts, listen, they beat up on the Jaguars, who the Bills could not finish off. But there are some opportunities for the Bills to kind of. This is a game I think they should win. I know it's going to be a tougher game. We could talk about the playoff game last year where the Colts manhandled the Bills from a line standpoint, both sides of the ball. But Josh Allen made enough plays. Gabriel Davis and Stefon Diggs, they made enough plays along with the secondary to kind of hold off, the Colts with, I think they had better quarterback play in Phillip Rivers last year than they do in Carson Wentz right now. I'm not sleeping on Carson Wentz, but I think there are some ways that the Bills can be successful. But I think the first thing we need to address, fellas, is the physicality, right? What do you guys think? How do you guys think the Bills are going to respond this week with the Colts from an offensive line, defensive line standpoint in terms of physicality?
Well,
gotta be ready.
Obviously, it's one of the better offensive lines in the league, right? With Derrick Henry out for the season, you're definitely facing the best running game. Taylor's right now the leading rusher, right? 937 yards. He went over 1,000 last year. 1,169. So he's definitely going to break that. He has the most 20-plus rushes. Rushes over 20 yards. He's tied for the most 40-plus yard touches, right? He's first in rushing for first downs.
Oof.
And he's the top 2 highest speed recorded on Next Gen Stats. He's number 1 at 22.05 miles an hour, and then he's 21.83 is the second fastest speed recorded on Next Gen Stats. What's that tell you, right? So what they do when it comes to, physicality is 41% of the time the Colts run between the left tackle, left guard, or the right guard, right tackle. And that's a high number, 41%.
Right.
So, that's something to pay attention to. And that's what they do is they create a little gap and Jonathan Taylor runs through there. You can tell they've practiced it for years. And, Quentin Nelson, no one's better than him at moving somebody, in the run game and those, misdirection plays and things like that. So that is a real challenge for the Bills defense to plug those holes. So when you talk about physicality, that's going to be a big time challenge. When you think about the size of Quentin Nelson, and I don't know have the exact stuff here, but Ed Oliver's a little small when it comes to Quentin Nelson. He's just a wide guy, you just watch the film. He's just wider than everybody else, so it's that's the biggest challenge in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. The whole game plan revolves around Jonathan Taylor, period. Right? You need to sell out and stop this guy. I'm not afraid of their wide receivers. I know Pittman's having a good year or whatever, but I'm not afraid of them. Our defense, our secondary can do its thing against those guys. It's the run game, and please, dear God, let Starr come off of the COVID list before this game, because we already talked about all year what his presence means to that defensive line. Even if he's not making the plays, which he has been this year, actually, he's getting attention on that line. So we need Starr for this game badly. The other thing I'll say is, because we know what's coming, we want to put them in a situation where they have to pass, just like they did in the playoffs. They dominated us in the playoffs with our own game plan, because we basically said, we're stopping the run, you need to throw on us, and they threw all over us. So if they do that this game, more power to them. Again, you back them into the same corner, though. You make them throw the ball, you make them beat you that way, because that plays to your strengths and stops their best thing, which is their run game. You got to win in the trenches. Their offensive line is really good, but you got to have a game plan. They've got to be ready and mix it up and see what they can do differently to try and confuse, the offense of the Colts. But it's a tough matchup for the Bills. The other big point that I would say when it comes to Jonathan Taylor, and we know they're going to be running the ball, you're forfeiting the time of possession game. What I do not want to see at all is Brian Daboll coming out here running the ball, trying to say, oh, well, our defense needs a rest, or, oh, we're just trying to slow the pace of the game. No, play your game, get out there, throw a pass, score a touchdown, let them get back on the field, run the ball for the entire quarter, and stop them from scoring. Make them settle for a field goal at least. You're not going to stop Jonathan Taylor completely because the guy is, at this point, the best running back currently playing football. But you have to slow him down, and you've got to understand that this is the game they're coming in with. They might have the ball 2/3 of the game, but as long as they don't score more points than us, they're not going to win. So you got to have the game plan of that going in.
Yeah. So here's some numbers for everyone. So, the Colts are 8th in points per game. They're 12th in yards on offense, 6th in rush yards, which is really good. 22nd in pass. Okay. 13th in points allowed per game on defense, 19th in total yards, 19th in pass yards, 17th in rush yards, and 2nd in turnover margin. So, this is a team that they are getting takeaways, but they run the ball. That's the strength of their team is the offensive line, but their defense is the reason, and turnovers from the quarterback at critical moments is the reason why their record is the way it is right now. And I think the recipe for the Bills to come in here and beat these guys, or for them to get beat, we're playing them at home, but look, it comes down to Carson Wentz. You got to pressure him. We talked about it on the Tuesday show. You got to pressure Carson Wentz, and from what I see on the film, there's opportunities to be had when you pressure him up the middle, whether that's stunting D tackles, mixing in linebackers coming in there, getting free blitzers off the edge, which we saw Leslie Frazier kind of do against the Miami Dolphins, which was fantastic, and against the Houston Texans. I think we need to see a little bit of that. I think, the more guys that you shove at Jonathan Taylor, I think is going to help. You got to get him. You cannot let him get to the second level, because once he gets to the second level, bye-bye.
Right.
He's as big gains. And so, we saw, I don't know if you guys remember, but we saw Ed Oliver take on Quentin Nelson in the preseason game when Ed Oliver was a rookie. And this is when Ed Oliver felt like he needed to jump all the time and elevate. We see a more cerebral, quick twitch Ed Oliver now. So I'm interested to see that matchup. Quentin Nelson is the best guard in the league. I'm not saying Ed Oliver's going to dominate, but I want to see, this is one of those games where you kind of get to see how far has Ed Oliver come this season? He's had a hell of a season. Now you get to play against the best. How many reps can he win? I'm going to be watching that matchup pretty close. We don't know if Starr's playing or not. It's probably likely he won't play. But we don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Well, if he's not vaccinated, he has to be out the full 2 weeks, I would assume. But I don't know that news has come out officially anywhere that he is not vaccinated, or
we don't know officially, right?
Exactly.
So the man could have got vaccinated. Whatever. So
yes,
as of right now,
negative twice.
We're going to count on him not playing as of right now, but we'll see.
And that could be a big problem. Who fills his role? I mean, it's absolutely huge on that line.
Well, F.A. Obata is a guy that played well last week. That
sure,
come in and help and spot duty, bash.
But he's more of a pass rusher than a run stopper.
I need somebody to get in the backfield, and I think he's doing pretty good at stopping the run. I think it has to be a collective effort from this defensive line. They're going to have to make sure that their run fits are solid. Taron Johnson being out there, I think, coming out here with 3 linebackers. AJ Klein getting him out there. Tremaine Edmonds is going to be back healthy. Matt Milano's playing really well again. So,
right, it's up to the linebackers to fill those gaps. I think would be the big thing. And like you said earlier, put pressure on Wentz. Right, force Carson Wentz to win the game. Right, this team I think I saw was 22nd in the league in passing. The rushing game is clearly the strength of their team. Force Carson Wentz to make plays. I trust the Bills secondary versus Michael Pittman, and that's what they're going to be trying to do is get those one-on-ones and try to take advantage of that. I bet you'll see a lot of like Allie Cox versus Levi Wallace. We always see, big bodied players, try to match up against Levi Wallace because he's a little bit smaller. But I would trust that over, anything Jonathan Taylor could do, right? You got to do everything you can to fill those gaps with Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano. AJ Klein, I think, will have a big role in this game as well. But we'll see it because, do they trust Taron Johnson and the safeties to come up and stop, Jonathan Taylor? Or will we see a lot of 4-3 packages, 3 linebackers? I mean, that's what you're trying to do, right? Anything it takes to stop Jonathan Taylor is really the game plan in my eyes.
Yeah, I think you have to sell out and do your best to stop Jonathan Taylor. Maybe get him in a 20 attempts, maybe 60 to 80 yards. I think that would be a great stat line if they can get him to that.
Right.
And Wentz plays a little reckless. It doesn't always result in turnovers, but this is an opportunistic defense that he hasn't seen. And I think if he comes out there with that mess, he's going to get hurt. In terms of it's gonna
right. They're taking and Frank Reich, credit to him, has done everything to take the pressure off Carson Wentz this year. I mean, they're third in penalties, right? The very disciplined team, third being good, right? They only have 48 penalties on the year, where the Bills have 68. Bills are 26. I mean, so that aspect, right? The offensive line looks pretty good in the pass defense as well as obviously run, but Carson Wentz is on track to have the least amount of sacks of his career.
Yeah.
Right. He had 50 in Philadelphia last season. He's got 18 right now. I mean, it just helps with the confidence.
Rely on that run game. Yeah, that helps.
You start to see it grow. His confidence is coming back, right? And it's I give a lot of credit to Frank Reich for that.
Yeah, no, Frank Reich is a really good he's a really good coach, man. And and Anthony, Austin mentions 3 linebackers is the key, right? Like, yeah, I think 3. I think you got to try it. You got to try it and see if you can cause some confusion. Look, you're gonna see the Colts come out in a lot of 11, 12 personnel. They want to. Their offense is based off of play action, right? So you're gonna see a lot of you're not gonna see a lot of bunch formations, but you're gonna see a lot of guys on the line. Tight, right? And they want to get Jonathan Taylor going that way, and then they want to, kind of take advantage of those press man coverage situations. But the thing is, I feel like one of the things that we knock Levi Wallace on not being a great athlete, this is the kind of game that plays very well into Levi's strengths, because he's not going up against somebody with tremendous speed. The Bills have to make sure they are mindful of Nyheim Hines, the running back that's really fast, and Jonathan Taylor, right? But I think Levi Wallace can match up with Michael Pittman or wherever side they line him up on. A problem last year was the Colts tight ends, but the Bills have been a lot better at covering tight ends this year. Having a healthy Taron Johnson helps there.
Right.
Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano have been fantastic in coverage this year. So,
right. And that's what I was going to say too. Is
right.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of 3 linebacker sets, to be honest.
Yeah.
It makes sense that bigger players fill those gaps.
I want to see them
Taron Johnson
Sure.
is so good at coming up and making the run, stopping the run.
But Taron Johnson also he gets hurt.
Trust him.
He gets hurt, and you don't always need your nickel cornerback to be filling run gaps.
Right. But
you need a guy like
they do though.
But that's what they do. But they hold on though. But they have to evolve. That's why, like a guy like Saran Neal, if he could only put it together here, he would be a lot better. But you have to. Why have AJ Klein on the bench when he's showing you that he can play? The guy can play. So why don't you sprinkle in and try it and see where it goes?
I think I'll take the middle ground between you two here, because I think what Sterling's saying is legit. That if I were the coach and I see how AJ Klein is playing right now, I'd make some looks. And again, I think that's the key on defense. We have to change it up, what you're looking at, because otherwise they're going to know and run it down our throats or do a quick pass when they can, whatever. Right. We need to change it up. 3 linebackers is the way to go. But my hesitancy there is this is a Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier run defense that we've seen for a number of years now, and they don't change for anyone. They don't do 3 linebacker looks. That's not really what they trust, no matter who they're playing, no matter how dominant the run is. They trust the guys that they put on the field, and they will play with those guys, Taron Johnson and the 2 safeties. So you're sacrificing one of them to put in a 3rd linebacker, and I'm sure they will. I hope they will at least sprinkle that in a little bit, but I'm hesitant to say that they will, because I know that Sean McDermott just goes in with that game plan. We're sticking to this. These are our guys. These are the ones who are going to make those plays for us. We'll see if they're able to adapt and change.
It really depends on the receiver matchups as well, because like Sterling said earlier, what packages are you going to see from Indianapolis? So that will dictate if it's 3 linebackers. If you can trust Matt Milano on, a slot receiver or a tight end, right? Which you can, then you might see more three linebacker packages.
Exactly.
So let's talk about their personnel. So you know Michael Pittman Jr. He's a big, tall wide receiver. He doesn't, he's not anything that's going to kill you from a speed perspective, but he is a guy that is a possession wide receiver. He's big bodied. He's good at the catch point. T.Y. Hilton is a guy that they've almost pretty much phased out of the offense. I mean, I think he has like 7 catches on the season. He really hasn't done much this year.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Pascal is a guy that I think he's a guy that is their bigger threat down the field, but he's almost a solid 2-3 wide receiver in this offense. Jack Doyle is a tight end that's given the Bills fits, along with Mo Alley Cox in the playoff game last year. So I think the Bills, from a personnel standpoint, I think they match up with these guys very well. I would say Nyheim Hines gives me more caution just because of his speed out of the backfield. Maybe having him and, which we don't see them do this much, but having, Nyheim Hines and, Jonathan Taylor out on the field at the same time. So from a personnel standpoint, from an offensive side, I think the Bills really can match up well with the Colts. So I think it comes down to the last time Carson Wentz played in Buffalo, if you guys remember, when he was with the Eagles and they came and they beat us. That was Devin Singletary's rookie year. They came in and they beat us. That was the game that I felt like the Bills needed. Was here at home. So I feel like, they're going to have something to say about this game.
Colts
really
are going to bring it too. They're
going to bring it.
We beat them in the playoffs.
Right,
they outplayed us and we
it.
beat them in the playoffs.
Yes.
So
yeah,
Michael Pittman dropped the pass in the end zone. I mean, he don't forget those things, right?
Yeah.
Now let me ask you, where are the Colts in the power rankings? Is this the best team the Bills have played this year?
No, I think the Chiefs are still the best team.
You think the Chiefs are better?
Yeah, for sure. There's no question.
If you would have asked me this 3 weeks ago, we would have all laughed at you, right? So that's why I'm hesitant to say yes, because we don't really know what the Colts are yet.
Right.
They're finding themselves. They're playing better, but they certainly have been inconsistent at best. So we'll see.
Well, just looking
at
their losses,
as scared of them.
They have 4 losses. They lost to the Rams by 3, week 1. Lost once to the Titans with Derrick Henry, once to the Titans without Derrick Henry, and then they lost to the Ravens in overtime. Those are all good opponents.
Quality.
Yeah. And when it comes down to Carson Wentz, he just doesn't have the clutch gene right now. He just folds, man. And that play, look, we have a secondary where that's so opportunistic. We lead the league in takeaways. Like Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, to just reiterate, and I'm not trying to be a homer here, but this is statistically proven that these guys are playing like the best safety tandem in the league right now. So he can't come out here and be careless with the football. He has to be smarter with the football in clutch moments. So if this is a tight game, and the Bills haven't proven that they can win the tight games, right?
Correct.
So this is going to go one or two ways, but I think I give the Bills the edge here just because I like Josh Allen more than Carson Wentz, and I think the Bills have more playmakers in terms of on the defense side of the ball. Now let's flip it over to the Colts side of the defense. Darius Leonard is that dude, and he is a guy that does not allow Josh Allen to get off and scramble and do all the Josh Allen things. Now, going back and watching the game with the Colts last week against, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence was able to escape the pocket a lot. And so if you give Josh Allen that much room, Josh Allen is going to make you pay. Now, we need Josh Allen to be smart with the football in terms of protecting the football and so forth. He hasn't been great at protecting the football like he needs to. He gets, the fumbles got to stop. I'm sick and tired of the damn fumbles from Josh Allen. Can we not do that?
Just watch one Giants game and you'll bring it back.
I don't care. I don't need to watch the Giants. But back to the Colts, on the defense side of the ball, you got guys like Grover Stewart's a decent, defensive tackle. DeForest Buckner is one of the best in the league. Kwity Paye, a Michigan guy.
I was waiting for that.
Got a sack last week.
Kwity Paye,
nice job hiding him in the middle there.
Yeah,
Hey, first one out.
Hey guys,
he's having a good season though. 24 total pressures.
Yes.
DeForest Buckner as an interior defensive lineman has got 37.
Right.
Tells you what kind of caliber player he is. I think Jerry Hughes is at 27 to give you some perspective.
Yeah, and so from a linebacker perspective, Sky Moore's on injured reserve, but that Bobby Okereke played well last week, along with Zaire Franklin, who's a captain. Now here's where it gets interesting, guys. So the Colts secondary, we talked about how they, I think they're 19th in terms of passing yards allowed. You got guys like Rock Ya-Sin. This is the guy that we as Bills fans know who he is, because we were thinking, the Bills should give him a look. But, George Odom, no. Andrew Sendejo, I think he's a try-hard kind of safety. I think he's a guy that he could be had. And then, Xavier Rhodes is questionable coming into this week. So, but Kenny Moore is one of the best slot corners in the league. Kenny Moore is really good. He's better than Taron Johnson. Kenny Moore is that dude. So they got some guys on the defense side of the ball. So Josh Allen has to be smart with the football this week. But the Colts have shown that they could be had on the defensive side of the ball. So they're not anything close to what the Bills have. So Austin says, shoot. Last one, not trying to derail the conversation, but what about play calling on Dable? He was outcoached way too many times recently. So we talked about this on the Tuesday show, that Brian Dable is a thinking man's coordinator. And I think one of the best attributes that he brings to the table is that he's always trying to scheme up something. But I think we're kind of seeing the balance here. We've seen him gone too far to one side, and now last week he kind of came back. And I think him and Sean McDermott had a talk,
right?
Because people were asking in the media, hey, what's going on with this offense? Why are we starting so slow beginning games and coming out of the third quarter? He had no answer.
Why are you running the ball on second down in the red zone?
Oh my God! Stop it! Stop running the ball on second down in the red zone.
Speaking of media,
but not having a healthy offensive line, missing two spots basically when Spencer Brown is out, that hurts. And left guard has been a problem all season. Feliciano getting them back, who knows when. It does help. It does help, but it ain't that much.
And I'll say, Brian Dable being out coached, sure, fine, but is Andy Reid being out coached? No. I just think you get overconfident. You try to force the issue sometimes, and defenses are always trying to, play the other side. They prepare too. They put in the time too. That's exactly what's going on with Kansas City, and that's what I think is going on with the Bills. You got to get creative and stay creative. And I think you're seeing with the Bills is a continuity. You kind of run out of ideas sometimes, right? You hit these slumps.
That's exactly what I spoke to at the beginning when I said that Brian Dable cannot come in this game trying to play time of possession. Stop that. That's not who we are. That's not what this matchup is. They are going to win the time of possession game. You need to score points. You need to draw plays that attack this defense in a very dominant way. Don't try and say, oh, we're just going to play the slow game. No, do what you do. Focus on that. Like Sterling said, keep it simple. You know what you do well, do it. Quit trying to dream up something, some crazy scenario where, we're going to win time of possession and score. No, it ain't happening. Just score. Just do what you do well.
Yeah.
Stop trying to overthink it. And hopefully Sean McDermott has that conversation with him and says, look, just do what we have to do to get points on the board versus this team, because this is a very well-coached team. As we've all said, Frank Reich, this team is going to bring it all against us. I think this is our best matchup of the season, really, left, other than the Patriots, division rival. We already talked about that, but the Colts are more competitive than them, I would say.
We got the Jets, too.
So let's
Jets.
As we wrap this up, before we get into our 5 for 5 with Anthony Romeo, let's give our predictions for the game. So Anthony, we'll start with you. Eric, you'll go after him, and then I'll close us out in terms of predictions.
Before I give my prediction, I wanted to bring up one last point, which is this.
Okay.
The Buffalo Bills play in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills have 3 losses right now, all to AFC opponents. This is a huge game for the Buffalo Bills. You can't. There's no two ways to cut it at this point. Great chart here, Sterling, setting it up.
Yeah.
I didn't know you even had this.
Yeah. Alley-oop, slam dunk. No,
Yes, right?
So I mean, yeah, if you go and look at the standings here, Tennessee obviously is number 1, but the Bills are 2 games behind because they lose the head-to-head. But Baltimore's right there, 6-3. You know, you're what we're seeing is you're seeing these teams getting knocked off. Kansas City's back in the fold. They are now in charge of the AFC West, and I don't see that changing. The Chargers are kind of falling off. You know, they were the media darlings earlier in the season, but New England's creeping up. And so, you know, let's put this into perspective, like Anthony was talking about. Vegas, they ain't going nowhere. Cincinnati's come back to earth. Indianapolis, they're done. They're done because you lost 2 to Tennessee. You're not doing anything.
I think they could get the 6 or 7 seed
unless they catch fire. Cleveland, they've shown us that they're done. They're shot. Denver, they don't have a quarterback. And we can go on and on about the rest of these guys. So I think what we see here, the only team out of here that I could see making the wild card will probably be the Bengals or the Colts. And that's going with the Chargers. I don't even know if they're going to make I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I think you can pencil New England in. I think what they're doing, that they are showing that they are at least a playoff team, but I think it's going to be interesting. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, and it's all about seeding, right? We know the Bills are going to make the playoffs at this point. It depends on where we are, but you're looking at a huge twist if we lose to another AFC opponent. We're back down with Kansas City. Even though we have the head-to-head against them, Baltimore and Tennessee both have every other advantage against us. We won't have a head-to-head versus Baltimore, but Tennessee has the head-to-head. They'll have a better conference record. Mm-hmm. They'll have that matters when it comes to playoff seeding. You want to play your games at home. If you don't get that 1 seed in the bye, you have to fight for that 2 seed. So this is a huge game for the Buffalo Bills, and I know that Sean McDermott knows that, and he's thinking about that, and he's telling the squad, look, this AFC team is showing up to play us. We have not made a statement win against an AFC team since Kansas City, where there was a lot of baggage there. We showed up for that game. We need to show up just as strong for this game. It's a huge game for our Buffalo Bills. We need to win this game, period. You lose, and you're going to have all the questions back that you did when you lost to the Jaguars, and now you've screwed yourself when it comes to playoff seeding. No matter how many games you win on the season, because Baltimore and Tennessee are gonna continue doing their thing too.
Right. So, I think for the Colts, it's they're in survival mode, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna bring it as well. I mean, 5-5. They got to 500. I think they were 3-5 at one point.
Right.
They're back to 500. That's momentum, right? And they're building confidence, right? Like I said, they don't make a lot of mistakes. They're one of the lowest teams in the league in penalties. I mean, don't beat yourself, I think, is what the Bills' motto should be this week. And this Colts team is you got to pay attention this week. You got to prepare hard, and they're going to show up and give their best effort. And their best effort is something. With a guy like Jonathan Taylor, clearly the best running back in the league right now, best running system in the league right now with the Colts offensive line. You can't just ignore that. And I think over the past few seasons, including this season, the weakest part of the Bills' defense is stopping the run, like we mentioned earlier. So
and now
it's no joke.
Here's that matchup with the Bills have to get used to now, coming from a position of power, which we hope we're in for the foreseeable future with a guy like Josh Allen. We beat this team in the playoffs, and now we have to play them again in the regular season. We have to be able to continually beat these teams. We have to show that, look, we beat you because we're a better team than you. You outplayed us in that playoff game, no doubt about it. But guess what? We won. And no matter what happens in this game, we are going to find a way to win because we are the better team overall. At the end of the day, that needs to happen in this show. So we were getting to score predictions, but anyway, Eric.
Real quick though, Bills' next 4 games at home versus the Colts this week. They're at the Saints on Thanksgiving. Got 11 days to prepare for the New England Patriots in Buffalo on Monday night, and then down in Tampa Bay for a 4:30 game. Bills at Tampa.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be a tough schedule.
We're going to know about the Bills after this stretch, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Can we get the 2-2, 3-1? I'll take it. 3-1.
3-1. I don't want to know 2-2 bull crap.
Listen, man,
I'll take a 1-3 if you beat New England.
I'll get the heck out of here.
Oh no, hell no. They just better beat New England regardless.
Those words. Come on now. Yeah, we definitely got to win. And it starts with this game for all of the reasons I said. You lose this game, you have screwed yourself when it comes to playoff seeding. It doesn't matter how many games you lose the rest of the season, as long as you win the division. You're not going any higher. So you need to win this game. Absolutely. And I think they do. My score prediction, rather modest, but I do think the Bills pull it off. Somebody asked what the line was in this game. I believe it opened at 7.5. And I am going to predict a close but well-fought game. The Buffalo 28, Indy 20.
Nice.
I think
I'm
that's
going to go 2017, Tyler Bass.
Woo! With the game winner. Yeah, all right.
That is a boring ass game. Because you guys went modest, I'm gonna go crazy. So I'm gonna say 34-21 Bills. I think they jump out. I think Josh Allen will throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I want to see Matt Breida with the lion's share of the carries. I'd be nice if we can get him at least 10 touches, whether that's on the ground, through the air. But I think we need to, let's use the screen game on the right-hand side of the field with Spencer Brown. I think Trey White comes away with a pick in this game. And I think Ed Oliver forces a fumble. So that's what I'm going to go with.
I'll take it.
Nice.
Since you guys went conservative.
Yeah.
All right. So Anthony Romeo is our neighborhood drug dealer. He's our game dealers, spread, money line, over under expert. So Anthony, without further ado, man, take it away with the 5 for 5.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're here again for another 5 for 5, the 5 picks of the week. Can you believe we are already through 10 weeks of NFL action? That is pretty crazy right now. And just to give you an update of how hot my picks have been this year, we started off cold with a 1-4 week. And then after that, it was on fire. This past week, also very depressing. Only my second time this season going 1-4. My one win was Carolina plus 9.5. Wow, what a dominant win. They ended up winning the game with the win. But all my other picks were losses this week, even though some of them were close. So 1-4 week. But overall, on the season, 10 weeks in, my record is 31-18-1, ladies and gentlemen. That is an absolute insane number to talk about here. Remember, if you're making picks, if you're at 500 or better, you're doing extremely well. To be this far above 500, this far into the season, it's been unbelievable. So let's keep that momentum going into this week. I'll start with you. My first pick of the week, the Lions plus 9.5 versus the lowly Browns. We already just talked about it and touched on it. The Browns, they ain't it. They haven't found it. They don't know what they're doing. I actually like this Lions team. They've been playing competitive. They've been putting it out there with what they got. They've got a few playmakers. 9.5 is a huge line, especially against the Browns team that's been struggling. I'll take the Lions plus 9.5. My second pick of the week, another team that's been playing hot, the 49ers minus 6.5 at the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that the 49ers are going to be able to win this game by more than a touchdown. Jacksonville's been playing okay, but certainly has not been living up to it. 49ers coming off that big win. They have to build on it. 49ers minus 6.5. My third pick of the week is the Chargers minus 3 versus Pittsburgh. The Chargers have to have a big win here. Pittsburgh, they're reeling. I don't really, again, understand how they've been able to even get to where they are at this point in the season. But the Chargers are the better team, and they should win this by more than 3 points. My second pick of the week, the Dallas Cowboys getting points plus 3 versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't understand this at all. I love Dallas in this game. They've been a dominant team, way higher in the power rankings, been way better team play overall. Kansas City looked back to their normal offensive selves this week, but Dallas is going to be able to score against that defense, and I don't think Kansas City can keep up at this point. So that my top pick of the week this week, the Raiders plus 2 versus Cincinnati. Cincy has been struggling, came back down to earth a little bit. Raiders coming off a bad loss. They're going to want to bounce back. I'm taking the Raiders plus 2 over Cincy. So to recap with my 5 pick, it's the Lions plus 9.5 versus the Browns. The 49ers minus 6.5 at Jacksonville. The Chargers minus 3 versus Pittsburgh. Dallas plus 3 at Kansas City. And the Raiders plus 2 versus Cincinnati. We need that big 5-0, ladies and gentlemen. Again, 31-18-1 on the season. That's awesome. Let's go. Let's win us some more money.
Did you take Detroit?
I took Detroit plus
Wow.
9.5
That's bold.
versus
That
the
is
Browns.
bold.
Versus the Browns. Let's go, Detroit. They've been in games, man. They didn't
Man,
lose
that's
this week.
bold.
Detroit did not lose this week, ladies
Well,
and
they
gentlemen.
didn't win either. So no, man. Maybe it's one of those things where when you have those big emotional games and you come out and shit the bed. And Cleveland had a terrible game last week, so it's like they're going to get back to running, Chubb 30 times and hell, start Case Keenum at this point.
Exactly.
I was waiting for it.
I mean, seriously, but no, Anthony, thank you for the work with 5 for 5, man. Our fans really appreciate it. It's really good. So that kind of wraps up the week, fellas. Make sure. Oh, also, one quick announcement: the Bills guys, the Air Raid Hour. They are with Cover One now, so you guys probably seen that on the social media, seen us repost them. Steve and Tilt Money are joining the squad, so make sure you guys give them some love. Their show is going to be coming next week. They're going to be doing a pregame on Sunday, and then they have a Monday night spot that they're doing. So, man, make sure you guys
9 p.m.
9 p.m. Make sure you
Eastern.
reach out to the Bills guys or their Air Raid Hour.
The Air Raid Hour.
The Air Raid Hour. So those are our dudes, man. So we're excited.
We go way back to when they used to be under that name, right?
Yeah. So it's fun, man. We're moving and shaking over here at Cover One. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to Cover One and the Hoof Podcast. We got stuff going on every single day of the week, pretty much. You can get all your Bills content, film analysis, entertainment, whatever you're looking for. We got it here at Cover One. And make sure you also follow the Hoof Podcast live on all social media platforms, wherever you get your podcasts. We just want to say thank you so much to the fans who support us. You guys have a great week, and go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Who plays New England?